Hello, dwellers of the internet, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about ICP, the supposed most hated band in the world that has been a common tagline amongst clothing lines and a bunch of different merchandise that they've broadcasted and sold to the public throughout the years. And I don't know exactly what direction I expect this ramble to go on, because there are quite a few avenues that I could take the conversation of ICP to. I could take the subject of and just kind of run with it. I wrote this down as a topic expecting for me to go to somewhere specific conversationally to try to take this down an avenue that would reach a specific point that I was trying to make. Like perhaps it would be about the misunderstood culture of ICP, or the backlash that fans have had to more recent albums or something like that, or how they are representative of counterculture and how that plays a part into society, and life experiences of a lot of different juggalos and people, and myself included. But I don't know. I don't really have a main point that I'd like to focus on as far as the subject, so I'm just gonna get a little bit more random with it and talk about whatever the hell I want about it. And first and foremost, the thing that comes to mind when discussing ICP is the mythos of the original 6 Joker cards and the Dark Carnival in general. And I just want to talk a little bit about that. And I like, first of all, I like how it's put together. I like the fact that there are 6 Joker cards in each deck. I like the fact that there are split decks. I like the fact that, each deck is sort of representative of a different kind of classification or group of different entities that are supposed to judge a certain portion of your life, so to speak. There's a lot of moral implications and a lot of judgments that come from these Joker cards and what they symbolize. Each Joker card is revealed and coupled with an album, which is something that's already cool. An awesome an awesomely advertised way to get your mythology and your lore to the characters and your series that you're trying to establish, to come out alongside the music that you're trying to broadcast to the public. It's coupled perfectly with from the artistry of the music to the artistry of the characters, and they're bundled together in a way that you can't exactly get one without understanding the other, or without at least having one of the avenues of the subject matter that pertains to either the character or the music bleeding into the other one when you're listening to the album, or when you're studying the character and what the character is supposed to represent. Because each of these characters that are introduced album by album within these decks of Joker cards are supposed to represent kind of a moral obligation that you're supposed to adhere to. Now this is the thing, ICP has long since revealed themselves to be a Christian band, but they've said that the mythology and the morally, as far as they're concerned, they're trying to adhere to a more specific scene of Christian values kind of thing, which isn't, it's not necessarily wrong. I don't necessarily disagree with that, specifically because I've gotten so much entertainment out of the way that they've done it, and I think that in itself is a testament to the quality of their production of art, is that they're able to get people who normally wouldn't bat wouldn't bat an eye at anything having to do with any kind of religious content to get to get them to pay attention to works such as theirs, which are these albums, which are the embodiments of these characters, and these characters themselves embodying some kind of a moral implication that, you know, need be adhered to. And the crazy thing about these characters is that they're each symbolic of a certain event, or a certain element to that is essential, or, you know, irrelevant to death or the afterlife. Starting from the beginning, you have the Carnival of Carnage album, which came out in the 90s, I believe. Maybe, yeah, sometime during the 90s this album came out. Carnival of Carnage, and that basically is just an all-encompassing album. The character is supposed to represent the entirety of the Dark Carnival, but the Dark Carnival is being given a different name under the guise of the Carnival of Carnage. It's a piece of the whole, but it's meant to embody the whole to a certain extent. You know, basically saying that, you know, basically stating what is played during the opening track, I believe. This segment about how all of the rich and all of the sinners and all of the people who have caused harm to others without giving it a second thought are going to have all these horrors reflected back upon them, and this crazy carnival of psychopaths is going to come back to them and for them when the Carnival of Carnage passes through their town. It's this Joker card, this character takes the form of a traveling carnival, much like the Dark Carnival, but the Carnival of Carnage has a specific purpose as far as the album can inform us, and that specific purpose is to punish the wicked, and that is to you know, punish them in a very specific way, in the way that each horror and each you know, act of you know, supposed moral wrongdoing is going to be reflected upon them tenfold or 100-fold or something like that. I believe that's stated in one of the songs, that it comes back at you, you know, times a certain degree to put some kind of emphasis on the punishment you're going to receive, and that's interesting. It's cool. I mean, you know, a little bit cliche. The entire premise of the punishment for your wrongdoings brought about through this you know, carnival, this Dark Carnival that is made up of a bunch of different Joker cards and these entities that each control a different facet and part of your life, is comedic and cliche automatically in a certain respect. And the cool thing about ICP is that they don't deny that, and they fully embrace it. They mention at specific points in different rap songs of theirs where they're like, yeah, we're surrounded by juggalos and all these people who have such a dedication and interest in the lore that we're creating, and it's fucking weird and we love it. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm seeing a bunch of people run around in front of me, face painted, drinking Faygo, half naked and running around having a good time. What the fuck is going on? You know, I believe that's more or less. I'm more or less quoting a direct line from a song. I can't remember the exact line, but there's mention of this whole situation, and you know, one of the main guys of the two. There's Violent J and Shaggy Two Dope, and Violent J is stating this, where he's talking about a visual experience that he's going through, where he's watching people in his yard or at a gathering of the Juggalos, which is like it's like an event that is not exactly a concert, but it's like a festival, you know, a concert / festival kind of event where people come to, and he's talking about his existential experiences that he's facing when looking at all these people, all these all these, you know, freaks and weirdos that are just doing all this crazy shit in honor of the music and the art that he's created. And he's, you know, saying to himself, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this weird shit that I've done? So there's, you know, that's just one example, but there's always been an element of self-awareness and, you know, a knowing that all of this is, at the end of the day, weird and crazy and, you know, just for fun. But, you know, that's only scratching the surface, and this, you know, back to the Joker cards, this first one, the Carnival of Carnage, is basically just meant to be like the embodiment of the purpose of the Dark Carnival, which is for karma to come back at you, you know, which is a cool concept and an interesting idea, and they all more or less are stating the same things, you know, they all of the Joker cards more or less have the same point. They all are trying to emphasize the point of the Dark Carnival, but the Carnival of Carnage, right off the bat, is, you know, stating the broad side of this point. The further you go into the Joker cards, and the more you dive deep into the mythos, and the further you go into the history of ICP, Joker card by Joker card, album by album, character by character, the more it gets more convoluted and deeply involved into every single different facet and context of the way that you could pay for your sins morally without having anything directly to do with religion, is just such a cool way to approach the way that you're broadcasting your music and the way that you're attempting to influence the culture around you. And I think it's very cool, and it's an interesting idea. So, you know, they start off broad with this first card, and then they get more specific the further they go down. The second one is Ringmaster, the second album they produced in the, you know, the line of 6 Joker cards. By the way, the reason why there are 6 Joker cards to a set, I'm not sure if this was intentionally done, but according to a certain, I don't even know what you would call it, like a horoscope diagram of some kind, you know, something that has to do with astrological, you know, astronomical interpretations of numbers. Probably something that has to do with either the, you know, Mayan calendar or Chinese belief systems. I'm not sure where it's rooted in, but something to do with the significance of numbers. 6, 6 is the most harmonious number, apparently, according to these systems that you can give reference to and, you know, look up. I mean, look this up and tell me what source you come up with. I'm not going to do it right now, but I specifically remember 6 being considered the most harmonious number for some reason or another. And this is evident in a lot of different pieces of culture and media. Surprisingly, it just kind of, you know, sneaks by you and sort of goes unnoticed right under your nose kind of thing. But if you look at a lot of different things, there originally in Sonic the Hedgehog there were 6 Chaos Emeralds, you know, and that was meant to be harmonious. And in My Little Pony there is, in My Little Pony Generation 4, Friendship is Magic, there are the main 6, which are 6 ponies that are meant to embody the different elements of friendship, ultimately, that come together to serve one purpose. You know, it's 6 pieces that make the whole, which is part of the mythos, which I think is really fucking cool, just because it gives significance to a number, and I guess, you know, OCD people who look for patterns that, you know, have significance or can be attached to a certain kind of significance based on the story that's being attempted to be told, resonates with people like me, you know, people who like that kind of shit. Just, you know, numbers in general, numbers being, numbers have a certain sense of ultimacy, and because of that, they have a certain significance to a certain amount of people. And you know, this, without going too far into detail, is one of the reasons why people would say that mathematics and the language of numbers is the language of God, or the closest you could get to you know, any kind of communication that supposedly God would have. I forget who made that claim, probably a philosopher or a mathematician or both, but it's, you know, something that is something that's mentally provocative, that's interesting to think about, and that just kind of teases the brain a little bit, and you know, sets up just different patterns and connections that are stimulating in this respect. And that's why there's six Joker cards, 6 albums, 6 characters to a deck that are each working towards the same purpose, more or less, but are embodying different facets of morality for ICP anyway. The second one is the Ringmaster, and he's basically, you know, this creature is basically the embodiment of the embodiment of the leader of the Carnival of Carnage, the one who is directing with sentience and with direction this carnival of madness and jokers that are running around wildly, so that they have some sort of a sense of direction, so that they can adequately punish those who deserve it. The third card, the Riddle Box, is basically supposed to be a representative, I think. Actually, I should clarify this before I get too far into this, is the fact that everything that I'm talking about as far as the mythos of these characters and the, you know, the representations of these Joker cards and their goals and whatnot is being interpreted by me as I have come to know them. There are a lot of different ways that these cards and characters and lessons could be interpreted as, but I'm just telling you what thoughts these things have provoked within myself that, you know, may or may not relate to different people, you know, different juggalos and people in the community, or, you know, anybody who has their own different interpretations. They leave a lot of it loose so that people can form their own opinions about it, kind of thing, because they're, you know, they're trying to encourage different perspectives to be had here. It's not that uncommon, it's not that weird, you know, for that, or it's not that unusual for that to be an intention of a piece of artwork, for it to be able to be interpreted many different ways, and that's certainly how this whole situation goes with these Joker cards. So yeah, this is what I think about them. The Ringmaster, basically just the leader and the one who is directing what has to be done to those who are deserving of some kind of punishment for their actions. Riddlebox is basically the, to me anyway, it's representative, metaphorically, of the uncertainty that comes with death, and what supposedly comes after death. The riddle box is meant to give you a result, you know, a sense of finality, of, oh, I don't know whether or not I lived life well, I don't know whether or not I did good things or not. It's meant to represent that fear, and I guess supposed to encourage through that fear of the unknown and through the possibility of a random chance, to encourage you to perform as many positive, or, you know, quote-unquote good actions as you possibly can before your time comes, because the riddle box is just simply giving you the results of, oh yeah, well, who knows whether or not you were good in life. Wind the crank, and boom, Riddlebox pops out. Oh shit, I guess you were good. You get to go to Shangri-La. Or, fuck, you're fucked. You were bad. So you have to go to hell, or Hell's Pit, as it is called. There's no heaven and hell in the ICP mythos. It's Shangri-La, which is meant to represent heaven, or Hell's Pit, which is just hell. I mean, hell is in the name, but it's called specifically Hell's Pit, I guess, because it's meant to, it's meant to put forth more of a, I guess, segregated place for those who, you know, not only followed ICP, but also are continuously, willingly committing actions that are detrimental to them, or that are, you know, could be considered morally corrupt. I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but yeah, it's either Shangri-La or Hell's Pit, and that's interesting. So that's Riddlebox, is just the element of surprise. It's the end result. It's the unexpected shoving itself in your face when you least expected it. And you're like, oh shit, I'm dead. Now all of a sudden I've got to pay for everything I've done. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would go on longer, but now I'm realizing that I have far too much to say about ICP for this to be concealed within one episode. So, I might talk about this more later. See you guys in the next one.